morning. It's a beautiful morning and we're back once again with a fresh edition of Breakfast News. I'm Preeti, with me is Rukma, and in the next 1 hour we get you through everything that's making it to the headlines. We get you national updates, international updates, also updates from the world of business, sports, a web news review, a health tip, enough to keep you engaged for the next 1 hour. First, let's get you a hint of what all we'll be carrying forward in the bulletin.
Right, more details after, well, Preeti's already given you this summary of all that's to happen in the next 60 minutes. All the national headlines, the Prime Minister to inaugurate a slew of projects in Somnath today. We'll be getting you all the details on that. All the focus on Afghanistan once again, plus all more international updates, COVID in particular, as well as sports and business. But first, here are the headlines.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of multiple projects in Somnath via video conferencing today. Union Home Minister, Union Tourism Minister along with Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of Gujarat to be present on the occasion.
Jan Ashirwad Yatra of new Union Ministers continues. Ashwini Vaishnav in Odisha, Mansukh Mandavia in Gujarat, Anurag Thakur in Himachal Pradesh are among ministers who interact with the public. Yatra to continue in various parts of the country today.
India's cumulative COVID vaccination coverage crosses 57.16 crore. More than 48.84 lakh vaccine doses administered yesterday. More than 22.92 crore vaccine doses administered in the age group of 18 to 44 years so far.
External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar chairs UN Security Council briefing related to counter-terrorism. Council observes unanimous position on terrorism threats including from ISIL, Khorasan. Jaishankar calls it vital to display zero tolerance of terrorism with no double standards and no distinction.
Situation remains tense in Afghanistan with thousands of Afghans and foreign nationals still struggling to escape the country. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg convenes an extraordinary virtual meeting of NATO foreign ministers to discuss the situation in Afghanistan.
Team India continues to shine in Junior World Wrestling Championships 2021 in Ufa in Russia. Vipasha clinches silver in 76 kg weight category, while Simran wins bronze in 50 kg weight category. And now let's take a look at the news in detail.
Yes, let's get you an update on Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurating several projects, and he'll also lay the foundation stone of these projects in Somnath in Gujarat today at 11 a.m. via video conferencing. The projects to be inaugurated include the Somnath Promenade, Somnath Exhibition Centre and reconstructed temple precinct of Old Juna Somnath. The Prime Minister will also lay the foundation stone of Sri Parvati Temple during the event. Somnath Promenade has been developed under Prashad Pilgrimage Rejuvenation and Spiritual Heritage Augmentation Drive scheme at a total cost of over 47 crore rupees. The Somnath Exhibition Centre is developed in the premises of Tours Facilitation Centre. The reconstructed temple precinct of Old Juna Somnath has been completed by Sri Somnath Trust with a total outlay of 3.5 crore rupees. Now, this temple is also referred to as Ahilyabai Temple since it was built by Queen Ahilyabai of Indore when she found that the old temple was in ruins. The entire old temple complex has been holistically redeveloped for the safety of pilgrims and also with augmented capacity. Sri Parvati Temple is proposed to be constructed with a total outlay of 30 crore rupees. This will include temple construction in Sompura Salat's style, development of Garbha Griha and Nritya Mandap. Union Home Minister, Union Tourism Minister along with Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister of Gujarat will be present on the occasion.
And
to get us more on that, Arun Sharma is joining us. Arun, good morning to you. We've told about the multiple projects and the Prime Minister laying foundation stone of these projects in Somnath in Gujarat. How far will it further give a fillip to the cultural heritage and will also help in preserving of cultural heritage in Somnath when we talk of the projects that are to be inaugurated by the Prime Minister today?
Good morning, Preeti, Rukma, and all our viewers. Now, when we talk about the Somnath temple, it is also one of the Jyotirlings out of the 12 Jyotirlings, the prominent Jyotirling primarily. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also the chairman of the Somnath Trust. So, so not only as a Prime Minister, but as the chairperson of the Somnath Trust, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be attending today's event, whereby projects worth more than, close to 90 crore rupees will be either inaugurated or the foundation laying ceremony will happen. Now, why it is important? Yes, there is a spiritual aspect to it because we know this fact a lot of devotees who visit Somnath's temple, not only from India but from other countries as well. Somnath temple has become an epicenter or primarily a spiritual epicenter as of now. Second important part when we talk about the promenade, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to inaugurate today. It is close to 47 crore rupees of project. Now this promenade is nothing but a Somnath Samudra Darshan as well. Now behind primarily, the Somnath temple, behind Somnath temple, we know this fact there is a seashore, and Somnath temple is basically,
All right, I think we've lost contact there with Arun Sharma. We'll try getting back to him for more. He was telling us about the projects which will be inaugurated today by Prime Minister. We'll keep you updated. We'll try getting back to Arun during the rest of the show.
Moving on now, the reconstituted Council of Ministers of the BJP have been on a Jan Ashirwad Yatra, thanking people directly for the opportunity to serve them. Cabinet Ministers Anurag Singh Thakur, Narayan Rane, Kiren Rijiju, G. Kishan Reddy, Jyotiraditya Scindia thanked the people of their respective states. Ministers of State Rajiv Chandrasekhar and SP Singh Baghel did likewise. And we go back once again to our correspondent Arun Sharma. Arun, you were telling us about the significance of today's inauguration, a much needed facelift and also development of a very important pilgrimage as well as tourist site. Arun, if you can hear me. Well, Arun again losing contact. Moving on, union ministers are crisscrossing the country on a Jan Ashirwad Yatra. Let's take a look.
Newly inducted ministers are reaching out to people through Jan Ashirwad Yatra to spread awareness about achievements of NDA government and also to seek their blessings in various parts of the country. These Jan Ashirwad Yatra are getting huge public support everywhere in the nation. Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting Anurag Singh Thakur led Jan Ashirwad Yatra for Himachal Pradesh from Chandigarh. The Yatra got huge public support from people in Parwanu, Dharampur, Solan, Kandaghat and Sodhi. BJP workers welcomed Jan Ashirwad Yatra at various places. Ahead of starting his Yatra in Chandigarh, Union Minister said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants MPs and all the newly inducted ministers to reach out to people to interact with them and also inform them about government's vision and party's position on various issues. The Union Minister also mentioned about those schemes which government announced during challenging times.
राहुल गांधी ने कहा था कि भारत कोविड वैक्सीन कहां से बनाएगा, क्योंकि कांग्रेस के जमाने में पोलियो का इंजेक्शन लेने के लिए भारत को 40 साल इंतजार करना पड़ा, वो भी विदेशों से आता था। ये मोदी ही थे जिन्होंने संकल्प लिया कोविड-19 आते ही कि एक नहीं दो टीके बनाएंगे और दोनों भारत के अंदर बनाकर 55 करोड़ टीके भारत की जनता को लगाने का काम भी किया तो नरेंद्र मोदी की सरकार ने।
Union Minister for Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Narayan Rane began his Jan Ashirwad Yatra on Thursday. This was Narayan Rane's first Yatra after he took oath as a cabinet minister. His yatra will conclude on 26th August at Sindhudurg in Konkan, Maharashtra. Minister for Education Dharmendra Pradhan and Union Minister for Railways Ashwini Vaishnav reached at Biju Patnaik International Airport in Bhubaneswar. The ministers took part in Jan Ashirwad Yatra.
नया भारत बनाने के लिए, एक भारत श्रेष्ठ भारत बनाने के लिए, आत्मनिर्भर भारत बनाने के लिए, पूर्वी भारत को पूर्वोदय में नई ऊंचाई तक ले जाने के लिए, और निश्चित रूप में पहले से भी हम लोग करके आए हैं। उड़ीसा उसकी लैबोरेटरी होने वाला है, उड़ीसा उसकी प्रयोगशाला है।
देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने 4.5 करोड़ उड़िया भाषी हमारे भाइयों और बहनों की जो एस्पिरेशंस हैं, जो कल्पना है कि उड़ीसा को कैसे गठन किया जाए, कैसे डेवलप किया जाए, कैसे प्रोग्रेस में आगे लेके जाया जाए, इस परिकल्पना को एक मूर्त रूप देने के लिए उन्होंने जो जन जन को छूने वाले डिपार्टमेंट है वो सब उड़ीसा को दिए।
Union Minister for Law and Justice Kiran Rijiju started his 3-day Jan Ashirwad Yatra in Arunachal Pradesh. The yatra was started at BJP headquarters in the state. His yatra will cover 6 districts from capital Itanagar and will culminate on 21st August. Other districts include Papumpare, Lower Siang, West Siang and Lohit. Union Minister for Culture and Tourism G. Kishan Reddy started his Jan Ashirwad Yatra from Nala Bandagudem village in Kodad in Telangana. The Union Minister will take part in 8 Lok Sabha and 17 Assembly constituencies during his yatra from 19th to 21st August. The yatra will reach Hyderabad on 21st of August. Union Minister of State for Entrepreneurship, Skill Development Rajiv Chandrasekhar took part in Jan Ashirwad Yatra in Bengaluru. The minister also got huge public support in Bengaluru, which is known as the IT hub of India. Union Minister for Civil Aviation Jyotiraj Scindia took part in Jan Ashirwad Yatra at various locations in Madhya Pradesh. The minister received huge public support during his yatra.
भविष्य हवाई सेवा के आधार पे ही होने वाला है, तो राज्य सरकारें भी बड़े उत्सुक हैं और केंद्र सरकार भी बहुत उत्सुक है।
Minister of State for Law and Justice SP Singh Baghel held Jan Ashirwad Yatra at Palwal and Faridabad in Haryana. The minister highlighted central government's achievements. Minister of State for Power and Heavy Industries Krishnpal Gurjar was also present on the occasion. Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare Mansukh Mandavia offered prayers at Kodal Dham Temple in Gujarat and started his Jan Ashirwad Yatra. In total, 39 ministers are covering 212 Lok Sabha constituencies across the country during the Jan Ashirwad Yatra. The yatra aims to inform people about various government schemes launched by the government and to tell them about welfare policies of the government. Bureau Report, DD India.
Union Ministers Mansukh Mandavia and Purushottam Rupala started the Jan Ashirwad Yatra in Gujarat on Thursday as part of the ruling BJP's exercise to establish a dialogue with the common people and also thank them for supporting the party in elections. Rajya Sabha member and Union Health Minister Mansukh Mandavia started a vehicle rally on Thursday morning from Rajkot after addressing party workers at a hall in the city. He took to Twitter and said that during Jan Ashirwad Yatra, he also visited villages where 100% vaccination has been done. There are 62 such villages in Rajkot district where 100% of the first dose has been administered. He also congratulated the health workers and villagers for their awareness about vaccination.
And on a 4-day visit to Odisha for Jan Ashirwad Yatra, Rail Minister Ashwini Vaishnav boarded a train for an overnight journey from Bhubaneswar to Raigad. He reviewed various railway projects in Odisha while en route to Raigad. During his journey, he walked up to passengers in the train and took feedback about train services and hygiene. The minister also shared Prime Minister Modi's vision for the railways and development in the country with co-passengers. He also inspected passenger facilities and hygiene arrangements at the Bhubaneswar railway station.
India's COVID vaccination coverage has crossed 57.16 crore. More than 48,84,440 vaccine doses have been administered on Thursday. 26,66,831 vaccine doses were administered as the first dose and 6,01,437 vaccine doses were given as the second dose in the age group of 18 to 44 years on Thursday.
And the Meghalaya government has decided to open up a number of activities in the state from Monday. After a review meeting with the Chief Minister and other officials in Shillong, Deputy Chief Minister Preston Tinsong informed that all forms of contact, physical sports or activities will be allowed to be conducted from Monday. Cinema halls will be allowed to open with 1/3 capacity. Public parks and jackpot parlors located in the state will also be allowed to open for the public who are over 18 years of age and who are vaccinated. Private vehicles will be allowed to operate with 1/3 capacity throughout the state. Decision will be taken in next week's review meeting to allow opening up of schools and colleges. Meanwhile, the state reported 329 fresh new COVID-19 cases and 308 recoveries in the last 24 hours. 5 deaths were also recorded, tallying the total deaths to 1,257. The total number of active cases in the state stands at 3,421. Till date, 49% of the total population of Meghalaya have been vaccinated.
An encounter has started at Crew, Pampore area of Avantipura in Pulwama district in the wee hours today. One terrorist is neutralized while the operation is still in progress. A joint team of police, army and CRPF have launched a collar and search operation in Crew. As the joint team of forces approached towards the suspected spot, the hiding militants fired upon the forces, triggering off a gunfight. The search operation is underway and according to sources, 2 terrorists are believed to be trapped. And to get us more on that, our correspondent Salman Qazi is joining us. Salman, we tell our viewers that the current operation is still on in Crew in Pampore area of Avantipura and one terrorist has been neutralized. Has the identity of the terrorist been ascertained and what all has been, has been recovered from him?
One militant has been killed in this encounter in the Crew area of the Pulwama district, and according to the latest reports, the firing is still going on, and most probably one militant is still hiding in the area. It's a residential area in the Crew market, very densely populated area, and right now the firing is still going on. One militant has been killed. According to reports, both of the militants who were hiding in the place belong to the Hizbul Mujahideen, and however the identity has not been revealed, and I think only after the firing stops and both militants are killed, then security forces will sanitize the whole area and see what they have recovered, and then eventually they will reveal the identity of the militants who have been killed at this operation.
Meanwhile, Salman, could you give us a brief description of the area? We are seeing that it's is it a residential area? We are seeing in those visuals there that there are shops, etc. nearby.
Yeah, it's a very small town, but it's in the main market of this small town in the Crew. And according to our reporters, the place where they are hiding is a residential house, but the area is generally is a market, is the main market of the. But as you know, all the small towns in India, they are very in very close vicinity, the residential areas and the market areas. These are not big towns, these are not villages, but they're very small towns who have recently grown into town in the recent time. So the firing is taking place in a residential area. Usually it's a market, but since the encounter started at 3 a.m., I'm sure that there are not many people in the market, but I'm sure that the surrounding houses would have been inhabited by people, and they would have been asked to leave those houses until the firing is over.
All right, Salman, thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. That was our correspondent Salman Qazi telling us that the encounter is still on. One terrorist has been killed, but the details will surface once the encounter ends. We'll keep you updated. Let's get you other updates now. Ministry of Home Affairs has recommended a preliminary inquiry by CBI into the alleged irregularities in the procurement of 1,000 low-floor buses by Delhi government. The matter has been examined in the Home Ministry, and with the approval of competent authority, the Department of Personnel and Training has been requested to take necessary action for undertaking preliminary inquiry in the matter by CBI. The Delhi government has been informed about the CBI probe in a letter to Chief Secretary by Additional Secretary in Home Ministry. Earlier, a 3-member committee formed by Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal in June had found procedural flaws in the AMC and recommended to scrap it. The Lieutenant Governor had referred the matter to Home Ministry last month for its consideration.
And MOS PMO Dr. Jitendra Singh today said that new business enterprises are heavily dependent on scientific technology and for the industry as well as big and small enterprises to realize their optimum utilization in contemporary India. Delivering the keynote address at the 7th India International MSME Expo Summits 2021, the minister said small and micro enterprises supported by competitive and cutting-edge technology will be the foundation for bigger industries in India. He thus asked the scientific community to share the successful R&D outcomes with the industries and corporate houses, and said that all future entrepreneurship will be driven by science and technology, and called for adding new avenues and enterprises in tune with changing times. Referring to the clarion call given by Prime Minister Narendra Modi for doubling farmers' income by 2022, Dr. Jitendra Singh said that the focus of agricultural and allied sectors and researchers should be on productivity rather than production.
Pune and Jodhpur-based facilities of Defence Research and Development Organisation, that is DRDO, have jointly developed an advanced shaft technology to safeguard fighter aircrafts of the Indian Air Force from enemy radar threats. The Indian Air Force has started the process of induction of this technology after completion of successful user trials. A shaft is primarily an electronic countermeasure technology used by militaries worldwide to protect high-value targets such as fighter jets or naval ships from radars and frequency guiding mechanisms of the enemy missiles. The shaft deployed in the air reflect as multiple targets for the missile guidance system, thus misleading the enemy radars or deflecting adversary missiles.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar chaired the UN Security Council briefing on threats to international peace and security caused by terrorist acts in New York. He strongly put forward India's concerns, asking for clarity on defining terror that does not justify or glorify terrorism.
Events unfolding in Afghanistan have naturally enhanced global concerns about their implications for both regional and international security. The heightened activities of the proscribed Haqqani network justifies this growing anxiety. Whether it is in Afghanistan or against India, groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed continue to operate with both impunity and encouragement. It is therefore vital that this Council does not take a selective, tactical, or even a complacent view of the problems we face. We must never countenance sanctuaries for terrorists or overlook the raising of their resources.
And the External Affairs Minister also reiterated his 8-point action plan for consideration, which he put forth in January this year before the Council. He called on the Council to collectively build on those principles and to end the stalemate, preventing the adoption of a comprehensive convention on international terrorism, which India has championed for so long.
Let me reiterate some of its cardinal principles. One, to summon the political will, don't justify terrorism, don't glorify terrorists. Two, no double standards. Terrorists are terrorists. Distinctions can only be made at our own peril. Three, don't place blocks and holds on listing requests without any reason. Four, discourage exclusivist thinking and be on guard against new terminologies and false priorities. Five, enlist and delist objectively, not on political or religious considerations. 6. Recognize the linkage to organized crime. 7. Support and strengthen the FATF. And 8. Provide greater funding to the UN Office on Counterterrorism.
External Affairs Ministry has added additional numbers to its 24/7 Special Afghanistan Cell. The ministry has set up a Special Afghanistan Cell to coordinate repatriation and other requests from Afghanistan. The contact numbers of the Special Cell are, and they're being flashed on your screens, 971-7785359. Landline numbers are 490-16783. You need to prefix 011. 490-16784 and 490-16785. The email IDs are meahelpdesk_India@gmail.com and situationroom@mea.gov.in. The WhatsApp numbers are 8010611290 and 9599321199 and 704-204-9944.
And in Afghanistan, thousands have been trying to get to Kabul airport and onto military and civilian flights abroad, but amid chaotic scenes, some have been killed or wounded, and armed Taliban members have been firing in the air to control the crowds. As per reports, armed Taliban fighters have been stopping people from going to the Kabul airport to flee the country. In a heart-wrenching video capturing the sense of desperation, a child was lifted up over the high perimeter wall and passed into the hands of an American soldier. People are fearful of what the Taliban's sudden return to power will mean. Meanwhile, commercial traffic across Afghanistan's border with Pakistan at Torkham crossing picked up on Thursday. Armed guards monitored trucks as they passed, while the Taliban's white flag appeared to hang over the crossing.
Amidst the chaos, people are coming on the streets to protest against the Taliban. More anti-Taliban protests have taken place in several cities. In the capital Kabul, demonstrators waved the national flag. They sought assurance from Taliban that they would not return to their regime from 2096-2001, where they severely restricted women's rights, staged public executions and blew up ancient Buddhist statues. At protests elsewhere, media reported people tearing down the white flag of the Taliban, and a witness said that several people were killed when the militants fired on a crowd in Asadabad in the east. Since seizing Kabul on Sunday, the Taliban have presented a more moderate face to the world, saying they will not take revenge against old enemies and will respect the rights of women within the framework of the Islamic law. But what finally pans out, time will only tell.
And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has said that the Taliban's desire for international recognition is the Security Council's only leverage to press for inclusive government and respect for rights, particularly for women in Afghanistan. Guterres told reporters he discussed that leverage with the 15-member body during a closed-door meeting on Monday, urging them to remain united. He said he was ready to speak with the Taliban himself. When it is clear with whom should I speak, for what purpose? He added, for now, UN officials in Kabul have been in close contact with the Taliban.
Members of the Security Council, but in general for the international community to be united, to use the only leverage that exists, which is the interest of the Taliban for legitimacy, for recognition. And for that to be possible, I think it's important that the international community is speaking one single voice.
And also, Ireland's ambassador to the United Nations, Geraldine Byrne-Nason, has said that reports emerging from Afghanistan are totally opposed to assurances given by the Taliban. He added that now is the time for the Council to stand with women and girls of Afghanistan. The heads of UN agencies and international aid groups appealed on Thursday for more humanitarian funding for Afghanistan as they pledged to stay, warning that they were at least $800 million short of what was needed.
The Security Council must insist with all Afghan parties that the full, equal and meaningful participation of women in any new government is a non-negotiable condition of international engagement. We've all heard the purported assurances from the Taliban that the rights of women and girls will be respected, What we hear from women on the ground does not bear this out. The past record of the Taliban does not bear this out. The Security Council must listen to Afghan women and it must heed them. Now is the time for the Council to stand with the women and girls of Afghanistan.
An extraordinary virtual meeting of the North Atlantic Council at the level of Ministers of Foreign Affairs will be held later today. NATO foreign ministers will discuss developments in Afghanistan at the meeting, which will be chaired by NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg. Earlier, the North Atlantic Council met on August 17 to discuss the situation in Afghanistan. Then the NATO Secretary General had said that NATO's focus right now is to ensure safe departure of personnel from allied and partner countries and of the Afghans who have helped us.
And US President Joe Biden and French President Emmanuel Macron spoke about developments in Afghanistan. They lauded the tireless efforts of their personnel working closely together in Kabul on the evacuation of their citizens, the brave Afghans who have stood by us and our NATO partners, and other vulnerable Afghan nationals. They underscored the importance of continued close coordination among allies and democratic partners on Afghanistan, including through multilateral fora on the provision of humanitarian assistance and support for refugees. They welcomed the virtual G7 leaders meeting next week to help coordinate these efforts and discuss a common approach.
The US State Department has said that it was sending more consular officers to Kabul and other locations, including Qatar and Kuwait, to help with the evacuation efforts from Afghanistan after the Taliban seized Kabul. State Department spokesman Ned Price said that 6,000 fully processed people were currently at the airport in Kabul and would soon be boarding planes. He added that Washington would nearly double the number of consular officers in Kabul without disclosing how many are deployed. Once the consular capacity in Kabul is doubled, he said that the State Department believes it will have the number of officers needed to process individuals and fill the flights. The Pentagon has said that it aims to evacuate between 5,000 and 9,000 people a day.
12 C-17s departed within the last 24 hours, with more than 2,000 passengers who arrived at safe havens. Since August 14th, we've airlifted 7,000 total evacuees. I can also confirm there are 6,000 people at the airport right now who've been fully processed by our consular team and will soon board planes. Overnight, we significantly expanded how many American citizens, locally employed staff, SIV applicants, and other vulnerable Afghans who were eligible for departure, and we offered them to consider transit to the airport.
2 buses carrying people evacuated from Afghanistan left Frankfurt Airport late on Thursday, bringing evacuees to temporary accommodation in Brandenburg. The evacuees were brought in on planes from Kabul via Tashkent in Uzbekistan to Frankfurt, where they underwent coronavirus tests and identity checks. For security reasons, they were accompanied by German army vehicles. Germany has brought in almost 1,000 German workers and local assistance over the last 2 days.
Meanwhile, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan has urged European countries to take responsibility for the migrants coming from Afghanistan. He added that Turkey had no intention of becoming Europe's migrant storage unit amidst turmoil in the country after Taliban's takeover. Thousands had also crossed into Turkey in the recent weeks as the Islamist insurgents swept through the country en route to Kabul. Speaking after a cabinet meeting, Erdogan said that Europe needed to take responsibility for Afghans fleeing the country, adding that Ankara had taken measures along its borders with Iran, a key route for Afghan migrants into Turkey. He also said that Turkey could engage in talks with the new government to be formed by Taliban to discuss our common agenda.
And for more details on the Afghanistan situation and India's measures to get back to repatriate its nationals from Kabul, we are joined by our correspondent Meghna Dev on the phone line. Meghna, well, the situation continues to be chaotic, heart-wrenching scenes and images continue on, but we'd like to hear from you. What are your sources telling you about at least flight operations right now?
Yes, definitely, Rukma. India is trying. The first priority for India, the External Affairs Minister has also reiterated that the first priority for India is the repatriation of its citizens. repatriation of the nationals, and that's the reason the MEA is continuously pressing on, urging all Indian nationals in Afghanistan who require assistance to contact the Special Afghanistan Cell immediately. That means that the External Affairs Ministry is actually wanting to, quickly start the repatriation again, so that so that they can collect all the details and start with the repatriation quickly. The reason they are urging all the nationals to send in their details and contact the cell. The Special Afghanistan Cell has been working 24/7 to provide assistance to the people who have been stranded there, the people who need evacuation and want to come back. Besides that, we have also seen currently the airport is being controlled by the United States. The entire military footprint, the US military footprint in Kabul is over 5,000 total troops on the ground, and they are controlling the airport. So till the airport is controlled, till the situation inside the airport, the airspace is in control and the ground operations are working all right, that is the only time where the repatriation processes can be accelerated. Because just a few days ago we had seen it, there were uncontrollable scenes at the airport, and there was a mayhem. Desperate people running here and there, jumping on the tarmac or running on the runway. So before anything of that sort happens again, the repatriation has to be happen under controlled circumstances. Currently, the airport is under control. The reason that other countries are also being able to repatriate their citizens and bring back their nationals and the allies that they had, the Afghan people who have been working for them. So this, this is the time till, and even the U.S. Department of Defense has said since the start of the evacuation operations, they have started evacuating operations since 14th of August. They have lifted approximately over 7,000 evacuees. So, there are a large number of people who are being evacuated and who are still waiting for evacuation. And on that backdrop, this becomes essential that India, quickly collects the data. The reason that Minister of External Affairs is pressing on people starting to contact them as immediately as possible.
All right, Meghna, talk more about this repatriation. Is there any kind of deadline that has been set up to bring back the Indian nationals in distress in Afghanistan? Because Kabul airport, let us know also whether Kabul airport has become operational or not, because at the same time when we're saying that India is trying to get back its citizens, there are other countries as well, who are sending in flights or through the land routes to bring back their nationals, and efforts are going on. So talk more about, is the Kabul airport operational, and has any deadline been set to bring back the Indian nationals in distress there?
Definitely, the Kabul airport is currently operational. It is, the operations are continuing with the help of the U.S. forces and the personnel on ground. The Hamid Karzai International Airport is a huge airport. It can handle multiple aircraft at a time. But the reason, obviously we can actually sense that there is not that much of a seamless operation that would definitely be going on. The reason that there is a lot of panic, inside, as well as more than that, a panic outside the airport, where people just want to get inside the airport and, board any flight they get. So definitely this is a very important issue that has come up, that how can the crowd be managed, because everyone wants to escape from there. There are still desperate scenes. We can still see, it's not just the visuals that we saw on the 15th of August or the time around there, but we're also still seeing desperate scenes of people trying to flee from there. Besides that also, there are protests. We can see, protests we can see in different places. We had also seen in Asadabad, we had seen in Jalanabad. So we have seen, different kind of protests also from the people, from the citizens there. Obviously, that received retaliation from the Taliban. But besides that, the kind of protests that are happening here and there is definitely, painting the picture that people, are not accepting that the Taliban has arrived in there and the Taliban is taking control. So, this is also one part that either people are going to protest or people, desperately want to leave from there. So there is a not. India has not yet set a deadline because India is, collecting, every last data, every last detail of any person who is available there. India wants to actually first collect all the details so that the repatriation can be as quick and as effective as on the ground as possible. But the United States had earlier said that 31st August, till 31st August, it will evacuate all the people it has to evacuate. So I believe that till 31st August is a clear window, is a better window in the sense that the airport would be controlled. But after that, we will also have to see, because the number of people to be evacuated is a huge number. And till when will this kind of repatriation be continued by different countries or by India? The only time will tell, because the numbers of Indian nationals standard there, the number of people who want to, the minority community, the Sikhs.
Right. So the crisis still. Yes, the crisis still continuing there in Afghanistan, especially at the airport. We'll have to see how the days ahead pan out. Thank you so much, Meghna, for joining us with those inputs.
And India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. DD India brings you a glimpse of the valiant struggle every day. In today's episode, we talk about one of the heroes of our freedom struggle, Untitled, and about the foremost social reform organization, the Brahmo Samaj.
Today is the day when a great son of India was martyred in the fight for freedom way back in the year 1771. He was Untitled Pagadai, the one-man army from Tamil Nadu. Untitled was one of the first warriors to rebel against the East India Company. He was born in Sankarankovil of Tenkasi district of Tamil Nadu. He was the commander-in-chief of Buli Devan's army, who ruled Tirunelveli area. East India Company acquired the revenue collecting rights of southern Tamil Nadu from the Nawab of Arcad. Buli Devan and his lieutenant Untitled refused to accept the British domination. Untitled led the army and fought many battles with the British and won them all.
மகிமை கொண்ட மண்ணின் மீது எதிரிகளின் கால்கள் மலர் பறிப்பதில்லையடா வீரர்களின் கைகள் வென்று வா வென்று வா வெல்க நாடு வெல்க நாடு வெல்க வெல்கவே.
During one of the wars, the East India Company arrested Buli Devan from his fort and beheaded him. Untitled was enthroned as the king. He continued to fight the British and also took care of Buli Devan's family. In all, Untitled fought 11 battles against the East India Company. Finally, on the 20th August 1771, near Manur village of Tirunelveli district, even after being fatally wounded, Untitled led his army to victory against the British. But after the war, the fearless warrior succumbed to injuries. Today, a memorial has been built at Manur, beckoning the coming generations to pause and ponder on the life of the great warrior.
It was on this day in 1828 that the first session of Raja Ram Mohan Roy's Brahmo Samaj was held in Kolkata. Raja Ram Mohan Roy was a pioneer social reformer in India who paved the way for progress in India under British rule. Roy was also an important figure in the Bengal Renaissance movement, often being called the father of the Bengal Renaissance. The Brahmo Samaj is credited with being one of the most important reform movements in India, which led to the foundation of modern India. Brahmo Samaj was a reflection of the Bengal Renaissance. The organization took active participation in social emancipation, which included the abolition of sati, the caste system, child marriage, dowry, and in upliftment of the status of women in society.
Ever since the beginning of a political movement against the British government, leaders had been demanding constitutional reforms. Dadabhai Nauroji had already put forward the idea of Swaraj in the annual session of Congress held at Calcutta in 1906. Also, during the First World War, the Home Rule League movement was gaining momentum throughout the country. To satisfy popular demand, Edwin Montagu, then Secretary of State for India, made a declaration in the British Parliament on this day in 1917, defining the goal of British policies in India. This came to be known as the August Declaration. The August Declaration aimed at increasing association of Indians in administration with a view to the progressive realization of responsible governance in India. The declaration proposed to provide a dominion status to India after the Second World War. However, the leaders in India criticized the reforms as people demanded complete independence and not just a dominion status. The declaration was criticized in a session held at Calcutta in December 1917. Bal Gangadhar Tilak also characterized the reforms as unworthy and disappointing, a sunless dawn. This report, however, became the basis of the Government of India Act 1919, which remained the cornerstone of governance till India's independence in 1947.
Alright, from here we next move to our segment Across the Globe, wherein we get you all the international updates. All right, before we get you across the globe, we'll go across to our correspondent Abhishek, who's joining us with Web News Review. Abhishek, good morning. Let us know what all have you picked up for us from the social media platforms.
Good morning, Priti, and good morning. From social media platform, the first thing that I'm bringing to you is from the Indian Express, which says that now with this Taliban uprising taking has almost took over the Kabul, the US force and the allied forces are being haunted by these allied forces. The news report says that thousands of Afghan security force members managed to make it to other countries because of these Taliban takeover, but tens of thousands of other Afghan guns, commandos and spies who fought to the end, despite the talks with Washington that the Afghan forces simply gave up here, have been left behind. So it's a crisis of security forces also who've been left behind from this war against the Taliban. Next is the Times of India, which says that amid Afghanistan concerns, India slammed Pak state hospitality for terror groups. Yesterday, there was a UNSC briefing where External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, representing India as the chair of UNSC, not only highlighted the issues of terrorism across the globe and various aspects of it, but also said that certain countries which have been continuously extending the hospitality of these people who have been responsible for such brutal crimes are being extended hospitality in certain countries, and these countries should be called out. Next is the Hindu, which says that CBI and SIT to investigate Bengal violence cases. Yesterday, the Calcutta High Court on Thursday has directed a probe by the CBI into all alleged cases of heinous crimes such as rape and murders in connection with the post-poll violence that has happened in Bengal, and this will be thoroughly investigated. Next is Hindustan Times, which says that in Tamil Nadu, as the cases, the government is going to take a call on how to deal with the COVID spread, and probably today, the Chief Minister, Stalin, may take a call whether there will be extended lockdown or the government may ease certain conditions regarding schools for classes from 9 to 12 will reopen from next week or September 1st, and medical colleges and institutes that teaches nursing courses, they are already open from 16th of August. So let's hope that condition becomes even better in the days to come in Tamil Nadu and other states also. This is all I have brought to you from web section of news. Back to you, Rukma and Preeti, for more updates.
All right, thank you, Abhishek, for joining us with Web News Review this morning.
And it's time now for our next segment, in which we bring you news from around the world in Across the Globe. And we begin by taking a look at updates on COVID-19 from across the world. COVID-19 has infected over 21 crore 7 lakh people across the world, while the number of recoveries stand at above 18 crore 87 lakhs globally. The virus has claimed more than 44 lakh 16,000 lives worldwide. The US continues to remain the worst affected, where the number of cases has crossed 3 crore 82 lakhs, while over 6 lakh 43,000 fatalities have been registered so far.
Amidst the continuing COVID pandemic, the daily death toll in neighbouring Bangladesh has dropped to the lowest level in more than last 6 weeks. On Thursday, 159 people died and 6,566 new cases were reported in the country. This is the lowest death toll since 6 July, when 163 deaths were reported in a day. The COVID death toll in the country now stands at 24,878. Other indicators have also shown improvement, with sample positivity rate coming down to 17.64% yesterday from a high of 32.55% on 24th of July. Now, the recovery rate has also gone up to 92.4% from approx 84% a month earlier on July 18th. More than 8.25 million people have received both the doses of vaccine, while 16.15 million people have received the first dose of vaccine in the country till Thursday. Bangladesh has opened tourist places after a gap of nearly 5 months. The opening follows the relaxations in COVID-19 restrictions announced earlier this month. However, health safety measures like wearing of masks will need to be followed at the tourist spots and hotels. Furthermore, the community centers and recreation venues have also become functional from Thursday at half of their capacity.
COVID-19 pandemic appears to be battering Australia currently, as the country has just reported its highest single-day spike in the number of new cases. Australia recorded 754 new cases on Thursday, breaking its record of 738 cases during the second wave in 2020. Health authorities in the country are racing to increase the pace of vaccinations against the fast-moving Delta variant. Australia has over 41,000 cases of COVID, with more than 420 fatalities so far. While
in neighbouring New Zealand, COVID-19 cases have crossed 20, with 11 new cases reported on Thursday alone. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern has linked the spike in number of COVID cases to recent passengers returning from Sydney. She added that the lab test had revealed the current positive cases were a close match to the returnee who arrived on the flight on August 7th. The person tested positive for COVID-19 on August 9th and was moved to a quarantine facility. The country is under strict 3-day lockdown scheduled to end today.
Cases are most likely to have come from the traveller. This is a significant development. It means now we can be fairly certain how and when the virus entered the country, and that based on timelines, there are minimal, possibly only 1 or maybe 2 missing links between this returnee and cases in our current outbreak. And the period in which cases were in the community is relatively short.
And it's time now for some sports updates in our next segment, Sports Track. Well, Team India continues to shine in the Junior World Wrestling Championships at Ufa, Russia. In the ongoing tournament, Vipasha has clinched the silver in the 76 kg category. In the final, American wrestler Kylie Welker defeated Vipasha on the basis of technical proficiency. Meanwhile, Simran won the bronze in the 50 kg weight category. Simran defeated Belarus wrestler Natalia Varkina 7-3, while Sito defeated Turkish wrestler on technical prowess in the 55 kg category. Earlier in the men's freestyle, India finished its campaign with 6 medals, which includes a silver.
Legendary athletics coach O.M. Nambiar, the man who transformed a village girl P.T. Usha into Asia's golden girl, passed away at Paioli in Kozhikode on Thursday evening. He was 89 and is survived by wife, 3 sons and a daughter. One of India's most famous coaches, Nambiar spotted Usha at a very young age in 1976 and soon began coaching her at the Kannur Sports Division. Under his guidance, Usha began winning medals at the Asian level, but his best move was making the sprinter switch to the 400 meters hurdles before the 1984 Los Angeles Olympics. PT Usha expressed grief, said the passing away of her guru, her coach, her guiding light is going to leave a void that can never be filled. She added that words cannot express his contribution to her life. Also, Sports Minister Anurag Thakur extended deepest condolences to the family of Padma Shri O.M. Nambiarji, who passed away. He coached many prominent Indian athletes, including PT Usha. His contribution to Indian sport will always be remembered. And up next, we get to temperatures across major cities of the country. Alright, that's it in this edition of Breakfast News this morning. Before we go, we still ask you every day to keep following the COVID protocols, to keep following the COVID appropriate behavior. Remember, the fight is still on and we do not have to still let our guards down. Wear a mask, wear it correctly and properly, and all those eligible, go and get yourself vaccinated.
And as always, we leave you with glimpses of some interesting facts, some interesting happening around the world that we believe will make your day all that much better. Today we bring you these blooming water lilies in Kerala's Kottayam that have turned the entire area into a pink carpet. So take a look. Have a great day. Namaskar.